Some fans are bold enough to trash talk certain NBA players, and today we will be showing you the most popular instances. Be sure to stay until the end because the last one is definitely crazy. Hart once trash talked James Harden and Harden didn't find it funny at all. This happened in 2017. The Philadelphia 76ers were up against the Houston Rockets. Everything was going smoothly until Kevin Hart, of all people, gave Harden a piece of his mind. You know why you're off? Because you're in my city. He said a number of things like,
"Your beard stinks. I hate your calves."
And even got a bit more personal, saying things like,
"I think you got butt shots."
Hart was shouting all of this at James, so there were multiple witnesses. Surprisingly though, Harden stayed calm and gave him a simple answer. "Remember all of this, I'm about to cook you." And boy, he wasn't bluffing. The beard cooked not just Hart, but added the Sixers as a side dish. Kevin Hart claimed that Harden only dropped 55 on him, but it was much worse actually. The second half was heated. In just 39 minutes, Harden scored 51 points and had a triple-double with 13 assists and 13 rebounds. As for all his 14 free throw attempts, he only missed one of them that night. At the end of the game, he told the comedian,
"Tell your team what you did to him."
Cooking a celebrity is one thing, but imagine getting cooked because of your girlfriend. There was a time where Chris Bosh's girlfriend dissed LeBron James to express her undying love for her boyfriend by supporting him. But oh man, it didn't end well, just like their love story. In the 07-08 season, the Toronto Raptors, Bosh's team, met LeBron's Cleveland Cavaliers. The game got off to a slow start for the Cavaliers, and LeBron was having a bad day himself. After missing the first free throw, Bosh's girlfriend and cousin shouted out something to him. This did not age well. Remember that time LeBron heard Klay Thompson tell him in the 2016 finals?
I guess his feelings just got hurt.
We can all imagine the King had the same exact reaction after seeing Bosh's girlfriend talk trash to him. No one really knows exactly what was said, but whatever it was, it had James lighted up. In just 4 minutes, he shot the game up to a tie. He had 24 points in the fourth quarter alone, one of the top scoring fourth quarters of his entire career, just to shut her up. In an interview after the match,
"I see you had a few heckling fans down there."
Yeah, they the reason why the Raptors lost tonight, because they ticked me off a little bit.
Just like how the purple shirt guy made the Hornets feel the heat. Back in the 2016 NBA playoffs, Dwayne Wade became really annoyed with the Charlotte Hornets fan who was an even bigger fan than Jordan, who was the owner of the franchise at the time. Dwayne Wade was receiving so much trash talk from the man they called Purple Shirt Guy online. The man told Dwayne Wade to just retire. It fueled Wade more and more each time. Wade got the ball all to himself for the final 4 minutes, during which he scored 8 points, drew a vital foul, and scored a steal. He humbled the anti-fan. The best part was Wade getting in the fan's face just to let him know who's boss, just after hitting a dagger that sealed the game in favor of the Heat. Thanks to Wade, the Heat would ultimately eliminate the Hornets in the first round. Charlotte Hornets fans have the purple shirt guy to thank for their loss. In contrast, next up is probably the most disgusting fan moment on this list. Trae Young previously said in an interview that he hoped to make an impression in his match against the New York Knicks because it was his first trip to the playoffs and he lived up to his own expectations with a 105-84 victory. Unfortunately, some Knicks fans were unhappy. Knowing fully well that Young played a huge role in sending their beloved team home, he received a lot of boos, but that was nothing compared to the actual icing on the cake. A Knicks fan who was sitting on the second row of courtside in MSG spat on Young and almost on the rapper 50 Cent, who was seated in the line of the attack. The consequences of this disgusting act were felt by the perpetrator, the New York Knicks, and its entire fan base. The team lost to the Hawks, and their dirty fan club members were banned from Madison Square Garden for life. Trae Young became an absolute villain in this series after acknowledging the chants and trash talk coming his way. In addition to this, he took a bow in New York of all places. He did this after hitting the dagger to send the New York Knicks home. Spitting has no place in the NBA. Spitting on a player is crazy, but throwing an entire drink on the court can freeze the entire game. We've had many incidents of fans spilling alcohol across the court, from beer to vodka even. The worst and most regrettable of these was when the Los Angeles Lakers were up against the Boston Celtics. Sometime during a finals game, a Celtics fan threw a bottle of vodka across the court. The fan still remains unidentified, but the Lakers did not forget. After this incident, the Los Angeles Lakers started the 2010 season with a bang, winning back-to-back titles. They bagged the 2010 championship title in 7 games, serving their revenge against the Celtics. It seemed to have happened years ago, but in an interview, Lamar Odom made it clear that the Lakers did not forget, especially because it wasn't the first time Celtics fans were messing with them. In 2008, when they lost to the Celtics fans followed them all the way into their bus and shook the bus vigorously. It was a traumatizing experience for them, and it only further fueled their rivalry.
You know, in that sixth game, they beat us so bad, they wouldn't even let our bus leave. They were like shaking our bus.
It's only right that Kobe became immortalized after winning back-to-back championships, and his last one being against the Celtics. The Lakers eventually had the last laugh, just like the Pacers did back in 1994. Another time a trash-talking fan inspired a record-breaking fourth quarter from a player was in 1994. So, meet Reggie Miller if you haven't before, who's retired now but was probably the league's best shooter in his prime. And then there's Spike Lee, who's an absolute legend in his own right. Their 3-decade-old rivalry is pretty famous, and it was so intense that they even made bets. One memorable match in a playoff game where Spike Lee didn't do the right thing, pun intended, by trash-talking Miller into victory, Miller scored a whopping 25 points in the fourth quarter, only 4 points away from breaking the actual fourth quarter world record, and this started the iconic Reggie Miller choke celebration. Spike Lee was the man to thank for that. Spike even made the New York Daily News headlines. Thanks a lot, Spike, but it only made him more upset. This rivalry was pretty much Miller's fuel for record-breaking performances. So at least this Miller-Lee feud wasn't necessarily toxic, it did have some benefits, especially in comparison to a fan who literally attempted to make James Harden blind. It all happened when the 3-time scoring champ was up against the Utah Jazz at the free throw line. You could tell that he was obviously noticing something because he turned in that direction immediately. Originally thinking that it was a camera flash or something, he looked in that direction again and then acted like he was going to throw the ball in the fan's direction. That helped him spot the culprit and drew the referee's attention to the situation. The culprit was caught and faced the NBA disciplinary panel. The truth is, if James Harden had actually made eye contact with that laser, he might have actually lost his sight completely. James Harden went on to give fans an exciting game time to watch as he scored 30 points and his team left the court in triumphant victory. Now sure, you must be thinking this guy and his entire lineage, offspring and offspring to come would have been banned from the NBA forever and ever. However, he was banned from the NBA for just 1 year. You'd expect fans to learn from these cases and experiences, but they never do. One fan literally shoved this NBA player. Just when we thought we had seen it all, from beer bottles to popcorn to laser flashes, all of these cases on this list, this is the first time a fan actually got physical with a player. What's worse is that he wasn't shoved by an ordinary fan, but by an investor. It was a venture capitalist who also happens to be a part owner of the Warriors, Mark Stevens. At this point, the NBA needs to hire bodyguards for players even while on the court because, what? In an attempt to recover a loose ball, Lowry innocently dove into a row of courtside seats. Wearing an NBA credential, Stevens was seated roughly 2 spots away from where Lowry touched down. During the brief altercation, he shoved Lowry in the upper body, and according to Lowry, he said something obscene to him 4 times. Now that's something. But then, once again, the NBA decided that the fan was banned from the NBA for only 1 year, but did top it off with a $500,000 fine. On top of that, Kyle Lowry is the main guy who sent the Warriors home when he put up 26 points and 10 assists to become an NBA champion. He ultimately did have the last laugh with this one, and some players though never get into it with fans, and then there's Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook seems to always be on the receiving end of fan misconduct. It's Westbrook who had a popcorn bath from an angry fan. The same Westbrook has been on the receiving end of racial abuse from a fan. Another time he had a brief exchange with a fan. We couldn't really tell what went down, but we can all feel the heat between them. However, the most memorable fan feud Westbrook has received was that one time when a fan was caught flipping him off on camera. During a regular season game back in 2017, Russell Westbrook had gotten a tough and 1 bucket to go, and he came face to face with the fan. Shortly after, the fan gets up off of his seat and proceeds to flip off Westbrook with both hands. Not 1 middle finger, but 2, which is the ultimate fuck you. Westbrook is always getting in trouble for reacting to certain things, so with this one he was much more calm and collected, and he put on a puzzled face. After he did, he collected somebody to kick out the fan, but kicking out the fan wasn't anywhere near enough for Westbrook. He proceeded to torch the 76ers for the rest of the game. Westbrook laid down the hammer both metaphorically and literally speaking. He finished the game with 32 points, 12 rebounds, and 9 assists. just 1 assist away from a triple-double. Getting flipped off is nothing compared to actually punching fans. Well, you made it, and as you all could probably guess, this last case is the darkest stain in NBA history, known as the Malice at the Palace. This incident not only had fans actively engaged in a wild brawl with the Indiana Pacers players, but also completely altered the career trajectory of the man at its core. It all started when Ron Artest committed a hard foul on Ben Wallace, and that's when Ben Wallace retaliated. For some context, Artest was pestering the Pistons players the entire time. The foul is simply the straw that broke the camel's back. Fan John Green made a $50 bet with a friend, which made him throw a cold beer at Ron Artest, which initiated a Cold War. Things went out of control shortly after that, especially when other players quickly joined in. After many failed attempts from security and many NBA staff members to defuse the situation, a huge nasty brawl broke out between the home crowd and the visiting players. Artest charged towards Mr. Green, and he was a one-man army. Well, for the most part he was. After Artest got Josh Green, a drink is thrown at him again. This results in Steven Jackson throwing a punch towards the other guy that threw the drink. Observing the aftermath is particularly difficult because spectators who were not participating in the incident chose to throw food and beverages at the players. Roughly 45 seconds to the end of the game, the match was canceled. The Pacers' success was undermined. Ron Artest received a season-long suspension. Jermaine O'Neal and Steven Jackson were given 25 and 30-game penalties respectively, and more heavy fines and suspensions were dished out. This is without a doubt the craziest interaction between fans and players. Thanks for tuning in as always. Make sure to subscribe and leave a like.